Have you ever told what you thought was a hilarious childhood story only to watch someone's face completely drop in horror? I'm talking about that moment when you finish laughing and realize everyone else is staring at you like you just described surviving a war zone. That awkward silence where you suddenly think, wait, was that not normal? I want to talk about something that happens to way more people than we realize. That moment when you discover your childhood trauma was hiding in plain sight, disguised as funny stories you've been telling for years. It's like finding out you've been colorblind your whole life and suddenly realizing the world looks completely different than you thought. This realization usually doesn't happen alone. It often takes an outside perspective, someone who grew up differently, to hold up a mirror and show you what you couldn't see. Maybe it's a partner from a stable home who gently suggests that getting locked outside all night at age 7 isn't actually a funny anecdote. Maybe it's a friend who stops laughing when you casually mention how your parents used to disappear for days without explanation. The thing about childhood trauma is that when you're living it, it's just life. Children are incredibly adaptable. They normalize whatever environment they're in because they have no reference point for what healthy looks like. Your brain literally rewires itself to cope with chaos, dysfunction, and neglect. What should feel scary or wrong just becomes Tuesday. So you develop this incredible defense mechanism. You turn your pain into punchlines. You become the person with the crazy family stories that make everyone laugh at parties. It serves a purpose too. Humor helps you process difficult experiences, and it gets you attention and connection with others. People love a good story, especially one with drama and absurdity. But here's what's really happening underneath. You're unconsciously testing the waters. Every time you tell these stories, you're looking for clues about whether your experience was normal. You're watching faces, reading reactions, trying to figure out if other people lived like this too. The laughter feels like validation that you are okay, that you survived, that you can make light of heavy things. The awakening often comes through contrast. You spend time in a healthy family environment and suddenly notice things that never registered before. People actually talk through problems instead of screaming or shutting down. Parents ask their kids about their day and genuinely listen to the answer. Conflict doesn't end with someone storming out or saying cruel things they can't take back. You start to notice your own patterns too. Why do you freeze up during arguments? Why do you apologize constantly even when you've done nothing wrong? Why do you struggle to believe people when they say they care about you? Why does genuine kindness sometimes feel more uncomfortable than cruelty? It's like someone suddenly turned on the lights in a room you thought was already bright. You realize you've been stumbling around in dim lighting your whole life, thinking everyone else was too. The stories you've been telling weren't funny adventures, they were survival narratives. That time you had to take care of your drunk parent at age 10, that wasn't you being mature beyond your years. That was parentification, and it robbed you of your childhood. The recognition can feel overwhelming. Suddenly you're grieving not just for what happened, but for what didn't happen. The birthday parties that felt chaotic instead of celebratory. The bedtime stories that came with yelling from the next room. The holidays that ended in tears more often than laughter. You're mourning the stable, consistent, loving childhood you deserved but never received. But there's also relief in the recognition. Finally, your struggles make sense. The relationship patterns that seem to repeat themselves. The way you either avoid conflict entirely or explode when pushed too far. The difficulty trusting people or the tendency to trust too quickly. These aren't personality flaws, they're adaptive responses to an unsafe environment. Understanding this doesn't excuse your parents necessarily, but it often brings a different kind of clarity. You start to see them as broken people who were probably doing the best they could with their own unhealed wounds. Hurt people, as they say. This does not minimize your pain, but it can help you understand that their failures weren't really about you. The journey forward involves learning to reparent yourself. You have to teach yourself what healthy relationships look like, what boundaries are, how to regulate your emotions, how to show yourself the compassion you never received. It's hard work because you're essentially rewiring neural pathways that formed during your most formative years. Recovery isn't linear. Some days you'll feel angry at the time you lost to dysfunction. Other days you'll feel grateful for the resilience and empathy your experiences taught you. Both feelings can be true simultaneously. If this resonates with you, know that recognizing your trauma disguised as funny stories is actually the first step toward healing. Your childhood experiences don't have to define your future. but understanding them can help you make conscious choices about who you want to become. You deserved better then, and you deserve better now.